At our anniversary party, my mother-in-law accused me of stealing her jewelry. When I denied it, she and my sister-in-law grabbed me, tearing my shirt in front of 200 guests. Thrown outside in humiliation, I made one call and everything changed. The button hit my cheek before I even registered what was happening. My mother-in-law Patricia's fingers were twisted in my collar, yanking so hard the fabric made a sick tearing sound. My sister-in-law Victoria had my left arm wrenched behind my back. The dress shirt I'd spent 2 hours ironing, because God forbid I embarrass the Ashford family with wrinkles, ripped straight down the middle. Buttons exploded across the marble ballroom floor like shrapnel. Each one pinged against the stone with a sound that seemed impossibly loud in the sudden silence. 200 guests stared. The orchestra had stopped mid-waltz. Champagne glasses froze halfway to lipsticked mouths, and every single phone in that room turned toward me. You think we wouldn't notice? Patricia snarled, still gripping what was left of my shirt. My sapphire cufflinks are missing, worth $50,000, and you? She shook me like a dog with a toy. You were in my study earlier. I'm David Morrison, 34 years old, and 18 months ago, I was assigned to investigate the most sophisticated Ponzi scheme in Pacific Northwest history. The Ashford family had stolen $43 million from 70 families, retirees, veterans, school teachers, people who'd trusted their life savings to Ashford Capital Management. My job was to get close, gather evidence, build the case. What I hadn't planned on was falling in love with their daughter. I was looking for the bathroom, I said, forcing my voice to stay level even as my torn shirt hung off my shoulders. I didn't take anything. Liar. Victoria's perfectly manicured nails dug into my bicep. I saw you coming out of that hallway. You've been after our money since you married my sister. My wife Claire stood 3 feet away, frozen in her emerald Vera Wang gown, the one that cost more than my annual salary at my job as a freelance consultant. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Mom, this is ridiculous. Her voice was weak, uncertain. Stay out of this, Claire, Patricia snapped. Her grip on my collar tightened. Your husband is a thief. We're searching him, right now, in front of everyone. The crowd pressed closer. I recognized faces, Seattle's elite. Tech CEOs, real estate moguls, politicians, the same people who'd looked down on me for 18 months. The nobody from nowhere who'd somehow convinced an Ashford to marry down. You can't be serious, I said. Dead serious. Patricia's eyes, the same ice blue as Claire's but cold where Claire's were warm, gleamed with malicious satisfaction. You're either hiding them on your person or you already passed them to some accomplice. Either way, we're finding out. Someone in the back shouted, "Strip him!" Victoria smiled. It was the kind of smile that belongs on someone watching their enemy drown. Excellent idea. She yanked harder on my arm. Patricia pulled my collar with both hands now. The shirt came completely off, leaving me standing there in just my white undershirt while Patricia held up the torn dress shirt like a trophy. Camera flashes erupted. 200 phones captured my humiliation in 4K. Nothing sewn into the lining, Patricia announced loudly, examining the ruined shirt. Check his pockets. Check everything. This is assault, I said quietly. My hands were shaking, but I kept them at my sides, in front of 200 witnesses. This is justice, Patricia spat back. You don't steal from the Ashford family and get away with it. Victoria reached into my pants pockets, dumping everything onto the white-clothed display table beside us. My wallet, containing my real FBI credentials, hidden in a secret compartment. My keys, my phone, locked with biometric security, containing 18 months of evidence. Breath mints, random receipts, a guitar pick I'd been carrying since my first date with Claire. No cufflinks. He's clean, someone muttered from the crowd. No, Victoria's voice went shrill. He hid them. He must have given them to someone. He planned this. He's been planning to rob us for— Stop it! Claire finally found her voice. You're wrong. David wouldn't what? Patricia wheeled on her daughter. Your husband is a nobody from nowhere. No family, no money, no connections, no inheritance, no pedigree. Of course he's a thief. What else would he be? The crowd murmured, nodded. A few people actually said exactly out loud. I'd heard variations of this speech for 18 months. At the engagement party, at the rehearsal dinner, at every family gathering. Patricia never let me forget that I wasn't good enough for her daughter, if she only knew. Claire's father, Richard, stepped forward, 72 years old, silver hair, bespoke suit that cost more than most people's cars. The patriarch, the man who'd built Ashford Capital Management into a respected investment firm by systematically defrauding clients. Security, he said with cold authority. Remove this man from the property immediately. 2 security guards materialized from the crowd. I recognized them. Hawkins and Chen, both former Seattle PD. They looked uncomfortable as hell. Mr. Morrison, Hawkins said quietly, we need you to come with us. Claire, I looked at my wife. My beautiful, kind, naive wife who had no idea what her family really was. You're going to let them do this? She looked at me, at her family, at the 200 guests recording every second, at the choice between the man she loved and the family she'd never questioned. She said nothing. Hawkins and Chen grabbed my arms. Not rough. They didn't want to be part of this any more than I did, but firm. They walked me through the ballroom, past faces I'd smiled at for 18 months, past people I'd called friends, past Victoria's husband Marcus, who smirked and said said, "Good riddance to bad rubbish," just loud enough for me to hear. They took me through the main entrance, past the ice sculptures and the champagne fountain and the string quartet, and out onto the circular gravel driveway of the Ashford estate. Then they let go. "Sorry, man," Hawkins muttered. "This is fucked up." They went back inside, leaving me standing there, shirtless, except for my undershirt, bleeding from where Victoria's nails had broken skin on my arm. Gravel from the driveway embedded in my palms from when I'd stumbled. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see Patricia raising a champagne glass, toasting, Victoria laughing with her friends, Richard accepting congratulations for handling the situation, and Claire standing alone, looking miserable but doing nothing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Special Agent Rodriguez, my handler. "We have green light from DOJ, all warrants signed, ready when you are." I'd been authorized to make this call for 6 months, since we'd gathered enough evidence to prosecute, since the grand jury had returned sealed indictments, since the U.S. attorney had signed off on the operation. I'd been waiting for the right moment, the moment when the Ashfords showed exactly who they were in a way that couldn't be denied or spun or covered up. They'd just given it to me. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called Rodriguez. "It's done," I said when she answered. "Execute now. Copy that, Agent Morrison. Units are moving in. ETA 30 seconds. I stood up, brushed gravel from my bleeding palms, straightened my undershirt, and waited. Inside, I could see Patricia had taken the microphone, making some speech, probably about family values and integrity and knowing who to trust. The irony was beautiful. Then the sirens started. 8 black Chevy Suburbans screamed up the circular driveway, tires screeching on manicured asphalt. FBI agents poured out, 23 of them, tactical vests emblazoned with yellow letters, weapons visible but not drawn. The mansion's front doors burst open. Special Agent Rodriguez, 47 years old, 22 years with the Bureau, lead investigator on white-collar crimes, strode in with her badge held high. "FBI, nobody move. Hands where we can see them." The ballroom erupted in screams. Champagne glasses shattered. Women in designer gowns stumbled backward on stiletto heels. Men in tuxedos pressed against walls. Patricia's champagne glass slipped from her fingers. It seemed to fall in slow motion, tumbling end over end, catching the light from the crystal chandeliers. When it hit the marble floor, it exploded into 1,000 glittering pieces. Rodriguez walked straight to her. "Patricia Ann Ashford, you're under arrest for securities fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion totaling $43 million. "What?" Patricia's voice came out strangled. "This is insane! Richard, do something!" Rodriguez turned. "Richard Lawrence Ashford, Victoria Ashford Chen, you're both under arrest as well. Same charges. You have the right to remain silent." "We didn't do anything!" Victoria shrieked. "This is harassment. We'll sue. Agents flooded the ballroom like a tactical insertion. 23 federal agents moving with practiced efficiency. Guests scattered. Phones came out. Social media would be lit up within seconds. I walked back inside, flanked by 2 agents, still shirtless, still bleeding, but standing straight. The crowd parted. Whispers followed me. "Is that the husband? What's happening? Oh my God, is this real?" Patricia's face drained of all color when she saw me. Her makeup, professionally applied, probably $500 at some exclusive salon, started running as tears of rage and fear mixed with mascara. "You," she whispered, "you did this." I pulled out my credentials, the ones I'd kept hidden in my wallet for 18 months. FBI badge, photo ID, everything official. "You wanted to know who I really am?" I held them high, making sure every camera in the room caught them. "Special Agent David Morrison, FBI Financial Crimes Division. I've been investigating your family's Ponzi scheme for 18 months. The ballroom exploded. Richard lunged at me. 72 years old, and he moved fast, face twisted in fury. "You married my daughter to destroy us? You son of a—" 3 agents tackled him. His face hit the marble floor with a wet cracking sound. His nose shattered. Blood spread across pristine white stone. "No," I said, voice steady, even though my heart was pounding. "I married her because I loved her. The investigation started 6 months before I met Claire. Meeting her was complicated, but I didn't marry her to destroy you." I looked at Claire. She was frozen, face white, one hand over her mouth. "I married her because she was kind and funny and had no idea what you really were. But the investigation continued because you were stealing from 70 families, retirees, veterans, teachers, people who trusted you with their life savings." Victoria screamed as agents cuffed her wrists behind her back. "You bastard! You lying piece of shit! You ruined us! You ruined yourselves," I said. "I just collected the evidence." Agent Rodriguez approached with a thick folder. "We have everything, Agent Morrison. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Falsified investor statements showing 8-12% returns when real returns were 3%. Shell companies funneling money through. Email chains discussing how to hide losses. Your testimony sealed it." Patricia's legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees, designer gown pooling around her, mascara streaming down her face in black rivers. "We'll fight this," she said, but her voice was hollow. "We have lawyers, the best lawyers. We have money, resources. You had money," I interrupted. "The FBI froze every account 20 minutes ago. Your assets are seized pending forfeiture proceedings. Your bank bankrupt, and you're going to federal prison for 15 to 20 years each. News helicopters circled overhead. I could hear them through the open doors, their spotlights flooding the ballroom through skylights. I turned to face the crowd of Seattle's elite, the same people who'd laughed when they ripped my shirt off. You all watched them humiliate me, accuse me of being a thief, strip me in public. You recorded it. You enjoyed it. You agreed with them that I wasn't good enough to be here. I let the silence hang, let them squirm. Now enjoy this. Patricia, Richard, and Victoria Ashford, the family who said I wasn't worthy, are going to federal prison, and every stolen penny is being returned to the 70 families they destroyed. Claire finally moved. She stumbled toward me, heels clicking on marble, reaching for my hand. David, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. About any of it. The investments, the fraud. I thought. I stepped back. Her hand closed on empty air. You knew enough, I said quietly. Maybe not about the fraud, but when they accused me tonight, you stayed silent. When they ripped my shirt off and humiliated me in front of 200 people, you did nothing. That told me everything I needed to know. David, please. I loved you, Claire. I still do. But you chose them over me. When it mattered, you chose them. Agents led her family away in handcuffs. Patricia sobbing, makeup destroyed, designer gown trailing on the floor. Victoria still screaming threats and accusations. Richard silent, blood dripping from his shattered nose, dignity gone. The cameras never stopped rolling. Every news station in the Pacific Northwest was live streaming. Social media was exploding. Ashford arrest was trending within minutes. I looked straight into the nearest camera, a smartphone held by some tech CEO I'd met at a charity auction 3 months ago, and I smiled. They wanted to expose me as a fraud in front of 200 people, so I exposed them as criminals in front of 200 million. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. 18 months ago, I was a mid-level agent in the FBI's Seattle field office. Good record, decent solve rate, nothing spectacular. I worked financial crimes, securities fraud, wire fraud, money laundering. Not glamorous, not exciting, but necessary. My supervisor, ASAC, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Jennifer Walsh, 28 years with the Bureau, ran the financial crimes unit like a military operation, called me into her office on a Tuesday morning. Morrison, you know the Ashford Capital Management case? The Ponzi scheme allegation? Yeah, been on our radar for, 3 years? 4. And it's not an allegation anymore. We have a whistleblower, former employee. She brought us everything. Falsified statements, fake transactions, the whole operation. She slid a folder across her desk. Patricia and Richard Ashford run a classic Ponzi. They take money from new investors to pay fake returns to old investors. When returns drop across the market, they fake the numbers. They've been doing it for 12 years. How much? 43 million, 70 families, most of them retirees who put their entire life savings with Ashford Capital because Richard built this reputation as the safe, steady choice. I opened the folder. Photos, financial statements, email chains. It was damning. We need someone inside, Walsh said. Someone they won't suspect. Someone who can get close to the family, document everything, make the case airtight. You want me to go undercover? You fit the profile. Mid-30s, presentable, can fake the background we need. No family ties that would complicate things. That last part stung. My parents had died in a car accident when I was 19. No siblings, no close relatives. It made me ideal for undercover work. It also made me lonely as hell. How long? 12 to 18 months. Maybe longer. We need you embedded, close to the family, close enough to see the real operations. That's a long time. It's $43 million and 70 destroyed families, Walsh said. You in? I thought about it for maybe 10 seconds. Yeah, I'm in. They built me a new identity. David Morrison, freelance consultant, MBA from UW, no criminal record, credit history that looked real because it was real, just under a different social security number, apartment in Capitol Hill, gym membership, Netflix account, a whole life constructed from databases and paperwork. Then came the hard part, getting close to the Ashfords. Turns out, that was easier than I expected. Their daughter Claire volunteered at the Seattle Art Museum. So did I, starting that same week. We were assigned to the same gallery, modern and contemporary. She was beautiful. Not just physically, though she was that. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the kind of smile that made you want to smile back, but kind. She talked to visitors like they mattered. She knew every painting in that gallery. She cared, and she had no idea her family was destroying people's lives. Our first real conversation was about a Rothko. She found me staring at orange and yellow for 15 minutes. Most people last about 2 minutes, she said. It's like controlled chaos, I said. Everything looks random, but it's precisely balanced. You can feel the intention behind every choice. She smiled. That's exactly what Rothko wanted. Precise emotion. Most people just see blocks of color. We talked for an hour. About art, about the city, about nothing important and everything important. I asked her to coffee. She said yes. That's when it got complicated. Because I was supposed to get close to her family, document their crimes, build the case. That was the job. What I wasn't supposed to do was fall for her, but I did, slowly, then all at once. Our second date was at a wine bar in Pioneer Square. She told me about her work in nonprofit development, raising money for youth arts programs. She told me about her family, old money, investment banking, expectations she didn't always understand. They want me to join the family business, she said. said. Work at Ashford Capital, but I don't know anything about finance. I like working with kids. I like art programs. That matters more to me than money. She said money like it was slightly embarrassing, like having wealth was something to apologize for. I fell a little bit in love with her right then. Our third date, I met her family. Sunday brunch at the Ashford estate, 32-room mansion on Mercer Island, private dock, tennis courts, the kind of wealth that doesn't need to announce itself because everyone already knows. Patricia looked me up and down like I was a used car she was considering buying. David Morrison, Claire tells me you're a consultant. What does that mean exactly? Business strategy. I help companies optimize operations, mostly tech startups. And your family? I don't have one. Parents died when I was young. No siblings. Her eyes lit up. Oh, so you're self-made? I suppose so. How American dream of you. The way she said it made it sound like an insult. Richard was more subtle. Asked about my education, my investments, my long-term financial planning, probing to see if I was after Claire's money, if he only knew. Victoria, Claire's older sister by 3 years, barely acknowledged me. She was too busy talking about her husband Marcus's law career and their recent trip to the Maldives, but I was in. I'd made it to Sunday brunch. That was the first step. Over the next 6 months, I became a regular fixture at family events. I documented everything, every casual conversation about managing returns, every comment about investor expectations, every detail that built the case. I wore a wire to Sunday brunches, recorded conversations in my phone, photographed documents when they left them lying around, built a timeline of fraud that stretched back 12 years, and I fell deeper in love with Claire. She had no idea what her family was doing. She didn't want to know. When I asked about Ashford Capital's returns during the 2008 crash, they reported 11% gains when the market dropped 37%. She said, "Dad's just really good at what he does." She believed in them, completely, unconditionally. That's when I realized when this case broke, it would destroy her. I called Walsh, told her I was compromised, told her I'd developed feelings. "Can you still do the job?" she asked. "Yes." "Then do it. We'll worry about the personal stuff later." Claire and I got engaged 8 months after we met. I proposed at the Seattle Art Museum, in front of the Rothko we'd first talked about. She cried, said yes, called her parents immediately. Patricia's response, "Well, I suppose we'll make the best of it." The wedding was 4 months ago. 300 guests, orchestra, champagne fountain, everything Patricia could use to show off the Ashford family wealth and status. I was a prop in their show. The son-in-law who wasn't quite good enough but had to be tolerated because Claire loved him. And through it all, I gathered evidence. Email access codes that Richard left on sticky notes. Investor files that Victoria brought home from the office. Conversations about managing liquidity and keeping up appearances. The grand jury returned sealed indictments 3 months ago. We had everything. Offshore accounts, shell companies, falsified returns, victim statements. Walsh asked if I wanted out, if I wanted another agent to make the arrest. "No," I said. "I'll see it through." So I waited for the right moment, for the Ashfords to show their true nature in a way that couldn't be denied. Tonight's anniversary party, 1 year of marriage to Claire, was supposed to be a celebration. Patricia had insisted on throwing it. "The family needs to show unity," she'd said. What she meant was, we need to show everyone that the Ashfords are still powerful. She'd invited 200 people, Seattle's elite, everyone who mattered, and then she'd accused me of stealing her cufflinks. I don't know if she actually believed it, or if she just wanted an excuse to humiliate me, maybe both, but it didn't matter. They showed exactly who they were, and I showed exactly who I was. The aftermath was spectacular. Patricia, Richard, and Victoria were arraigned the next morning. Federal courthouse, packed gallery, media circus outside. U.S. Attorney Michael Chen, Harvard Law, 15 years as a federal prosecutor, 94% conviction rate, personally handled the case. The defendants operated a sophisticated Ponzi scheme for 12 years, he told the judge. They stole $43 million from 70 families. Many of the victims are elderly. Many lost their life savings. The evidence is overwhelming. We're requesting detention pending trial. Their lawyers, expensive attorneys from Morrison and Associates, argued for bail. The judge set it at $10 million each. They couldn't make it. All their assets were frozen. The offshore accounts were seized. The shell companies dissolved. They sat in federal detention for 8 months before trial. The trial lasted 6 weeks. I testified for 3 days, walked the jury through every piece of evidence, every falsified statement, every fake transaction, showed them the video I'd recorded at Sunday brunches, audio of Richard explaining to Patricia how to manage investor expectations, emails discussing how to hide losses. The defense tried to claim I'd entrapped them, that I'd violated their rights, that my marriage to Claire was a fraud upon the court. The judge shut that down fast. The defendant's daughter has no involvement in this case. Agent Morrison's personal relationship doesn't invalidate properly obtained evidence. The jury convicted on all counts. Sentencing was brutal. Judge Barbara Kimura, Stanford Law, 26 years on the federal bench, known for harsh white-collar sentences, showed no mercy. You stole from people who trusted you. You destroyed families. You showed no remorse. Patricia Ashford, 18 years federal prison. Richard Ashford, 20 years. Victoria Ashford, Ashford Chen, 15 years. Patricia fainted, had to be carried out by marshals. Richard just stared straight ahead, broken. Victoria screamed that it wasn't fair, that she'd just been following her parents' instructions, that she deserved leniency. The judge didn't care. They're all in federal prison now. Patricia at FCI Dublin in California. Richard at FCI Sheridan in Oregon. Victoria at FCI Victorville, also in California. They'll serve at minimum 85% of their sentences. Patricia will be 73 when she gets out. Richard will be 89. Victoria will be 54. The $43 million was recovered, returned to the 70 families. Not all of it. Some had been spent, hidden too well to find, but most. Enough that people could rebuild. And Claire? She filed for divorce 6 months after the arrests. I didn't fight it. Didn't want anything from her. We met one last time. Coffee shop in Capitol Hill. Neutral ground. Did you ever love me? She asked. Or was it all just part of the job? I loved you, I said. I still do. That was never fake. But you let me believe. I let you believe your family was honest. Because they were your family. I hoped I was wrong about them. I hoped there was some explanation. But there wasn't. You should have told me. I couldn't. It would have compromised the investigation. And I don't think you would have believed me. Not until you saw the evidence yourself, she cried. They're my parents. My sister. Everything I knew about them was a lie. Not everything. They loved you. That part was real. They just loved money more. We sat in silence for a while. What happens now? She asked. You rebuild. You're not responsible for what they did. You're not guilty of anything. You move forward. What about you? Same thing. I move forward. She left. I haven't seen her since. I'm back to regular FBI work now. Financial crimes, building cases, putting criminals away. I don't do undercover anymore. Walsh offered me another assignment. I said no. Some parts of this job, the lying, the long game, the violation of trust even when it's justified, they leave marks. But I'd do it again. All of it. Because 70 families got their money back. Because 3 criminals went to prison. Because justice, real justice, happened. And because for 18 months I loved someone who deserved better than the family she was born into. Last week, I got an email from one of the victims. Linda Patterson, 73 years old, retired teacher. She'd lost $340,000 to Ashford Capital, her entire retirement. Thank you, she wrote. I got $287,000 back. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to live on. Enough to stop being scared. You gave me that. Thank you. That's why I did it. Not for revenge. Not to humiliate the Ashfords at their own party. Though I'll admit, that part felt pretty good. But for Linda Patterson and the 69 other families who trusted the wrong people with their life savings. They wanted to expose me as a fraud in front of 200 people. So I exposed them as criminals in front of 200 million. Fair trade, I'd say.